So SOLIDWORKS Electrical is made up of several components, and today we're going to focus just on the detailed schematic component of it. As a little overview, when you're working in SOLIDWORKS Electrical, it does contain everything for the project in a project window, and it contains everything in a single file that does allow multi-users to work with different pages of the project at the same time. So on the left side of my screen here, you'll see the project breakdown with some of the different documents that are included outside of just the regular detailed schematics. With that, we'll start on our detailed schematic, and what we're going to start off with is building a motor circuit identical to this current circuit that is set up for motor 3 here. We could, if we were just going to build this circuit identical over again, we could window select this, copy it, and paste it, but I'm going to build it piece by piece so we can see how it all comes together. So the first step will be drawing our wires, and we can choose our wires by single wire types or by a grouping. Like in our case, we have 3-phase wiring, so we want to select that grouping of wiring, and when we select that, we have the neutral wire, the 3 phases, and the ground automatically, and we can set a spacing between those lines so we can draw the group all at once. I'm going to turn off our neutral because we just need the 3 phases. And then I can start my wire, define my stack direction, and come across with my wires. Once I reach a point, I can click and it'll automatically put me into a corner, which I can also reverse with a simple keystroke if I need to change the stack order at that point. We're going to end right at that point with our wires. The next thing we need to do is place our motor symbol. For this first one, I'm going to show the entire symbols library. We have several different breakdowns, coils, connectors, detectors, sensors, lots of things in the library to start with. I'll step down to our motors group here, and we'll grab our 3-phase motor. Upon placing that motor, this is where the real power starts to come in. With this being a project built on top of a database, it isn't just lines on paper without any intelligence. There's a lot of intelligence built into the project as you're working. We have the ability to define locations and different things for our motors. In this case, our location for our motor is going to be part of our other conveyors. So we're going to set that location, and we can also set our manufacturer part number that goes with this. You'll notice that it's automatically given me M5 as my next motor. It helps me so that I don't accidentally duplicate tag numbers. When I place a new symbol, it gives me the next tag number in order. Okay, then we'll go to our manufacturer area. You'll notice here it's telling me what kind of circuit I need to satisfy. I have 3 motor connections and a ground. So we'll step into the search on our database, and then from within my database I can choose by manufacturer. In this case we're going to use a Leroy Sommer motor, and we have the ability to search maybe by part number, so we can put in a part number, and we can do a partial and then go ahead and search. And then it gives me my motors that match that set, and I want this particular motor. Notice when I select that motor, it is showing me here that I am properly satisfying my circuit with that vendor part number to match my symbol. So I'll go ahead and choose that to make that part of my bill of material. So as I'm drawing my schematic, I'm building my bill of material. Again, it's not something where I'm just typing a part number in and then I have to come back and go over my schematic to make my bill of material. Okay? And then there's also the case where maybe we've built the bill of material previously because we've had to order parts, and now we want to associate symbols with that bill of material. We can handle that as well, and that's what we're going to do for our next couple of steps here. I need to put in my main contactors. Originally we went to the main symbol library to take a quick look at that. Now we're going to take a look at a subset of the library that you can build of your common symbols, so that if there's a handful of symbols or a large amount of them that you're using regularly, you don't have to go into the entire library and search for those. We can simply come in here, and I can even do a find, and I have a list of common symbols here, but maybe I just need things that go with 3-pole right now. I can narrow that down quickly, and here's my main contacts, so I can bring those in and place those. Now I want to associate these with something that's already part of my bill of material. Okay, I've intentionally set my default for contacts to go to one of the standards CR for a control relay or contact relay. You can do that, and you can set your own default, and you can also override that. So I can change this to K because maybe part of my project is CR, part K, things like that. We can support that. When I change to K, it's going to give me the next number in order, but I can tell it, no, I'm looking for K4 because I've defined that in my bill of material. And when I set that equal, it then shows me there's your K4 contact or relay, and it shows me where I've placed the symbols for that. It tells me which page the coil that goes with that is on, so that I can tie my symbols together with a part number that's been pre-assigned. So we'll select K4, and then we have our circuit breaker and thermal cutout here. We'll grab that. This will go with Q4. And we can associate that again. And you'll notice as I'm placing these symbols, I'm automatically getting my connection lettering and my attributes for my part number, my tag number. These, of course, can be placed on the symbol where you prefer to place them. And you can adjust the attributes to pull the particular information that you prefer. Next, we want to put in our terminal blocks. And I'm using the standard terminal blocks where you can build up a set of terminals on a DIN rail. So I'm going to add some more terminals to my X1 terminal block. To do that, I'll go to my Insert Terminals. Okay. And we're going to use standard passing terminal, and we'll select that. And then we'll come down through so that we can place all of our terminals at once. It's going to default. Again, I'm going to show that we can override or use the default. I want to override. I'm not going to use TB. I want to make this part of my X1 terminal block that's in my chassis location. Right now it's giving me my next available terminal block and my next available number. When I choose this, it's going to automatically say, okay, position 17 is your next available on X1, which is what I would prefer. And then I can step in and assign my part numbers that go with this as well. So we can find our WAGO part number. We'll select that, and we'll accept that for all terminals. Okay, so we've placed our terminal block, and now our motor is actually connected with a cable as opposed to single wires. So I want to associate these wires with cable cores. So I can come up across, right-click, and associate with cable cores. And my cables are part of my bill of material to begin with. They've been defined previously, and I can look at cables that have been used, and I can see that they have origin and destinations defined. Cables that aren't used will show with no connections, and we can very quickly assign our connections. We can do them a single core to a wire at a time, or we can do them a grouping if they happen to fall in order. So we can group those and choose associate cable cores. And by doing that, we're automatically populating all of our origin and destination information. And the cable is automatically labeled and changed to the cable color to show the builder that that is a cable. Next, we're going to work on adding a circuit to connect to our control side of our schematic. We have our high voltage, and we want to make a low voltage circuit through a transformer to connect. We're going to create a library feature for that particular circuit, and I know that I've created that circuit in another portion of my schematic. So I can step into that section, open that page, and here's the circuit I want to use. We currently have the circuit breaker as Q10 and T2 in this part of the circuit for our transformer. And if I was using this circuit just one time, I could window select it and copy and paste it. But we'll make a macro or library circuit out of it. Okay, so on our macros page, to create that, I can grab my power supply section here, and I'm going to window select this circuit. And to add it to my library, I simply just drag into my library and add. and I can give it any name that I prefer, or I can accept the sequential name. I can also add additional attributes to the circuit to make it more easily searchable should I need that. We'll accept that circuit, and it adds it to the bottom of our list. And then I can close this page and go back to my original power side. And to reuse that circuit, I simply select it and drag it in and drop it to make my connections. It's going to ask me what I want to do with each of my tag numbers and other location information. I'm going to accept the defaults, which will automatically go to the next available numbers. Again, showing that unless we ask the system to, it's not going to duplicate any tag numbers accidentally. And what we actually want to do, these are predefined items in our bill of material as well, our circuit breaker and our transformer. So we're going to jump in on our symbol properties, and we're going to tell it again to associate this with these predefined items. Set that for our circuit breaker and our transformer. And accept those. Next, we need to add to our system, we need to put in our origins and destinations to connect these to the next page. There's a built-in interface and tool for adding the origin and destination arrows. I'm going to launch that. I'll tile my windows vertically. It's a little easier to read. And then at this point, we have the ability to toggle the page on the right, or we can toggle the page on the left as needed, or we can toggle the page group. These are actually the pages we want. We'll go with a single connection, and when I grab the low voltage neutral off of this side, when I come to my page on the right, you'll see the green halo up here around that connection. That's the only available connection that matches that potential, so I'm unable to accidentally cross over potential when I'm defining origins and destinations. We'll grab our low voltage connection and set that as well. With our connection set, we now have the ability, it shows my page number and row number where the connection is. These are editable. There is flexibility in the formula that defines this for different scenarios. I can right-click on that, go to, and it'll take me to that page. And then we can zoom that page, okay? And we can continue to track down through our schematic following our connections and our circuits from page to page. We also have automated cross-reference symbols. You'll notice my K1 contactor is showing me in the cross-reference symbol that my main contacts are on page 5, row 2, and I have a set of auxiliary contacts that are also still available, shown in blue. If I were to choose on the coil symbol or any of the contact symbols related with K1 and look at my manufacturer page, it will show me what has been used, where the symbol is located, and if I have available features left, such as the normally open contacts. The system will allow you to assign additional contacts to this, such as more normally closed or normally opens. They, in this case, would show in red, showing me that I have additional contacts assigned, but I need to add a part to satisfy that set of contacts. So it allows you to build your schematic, but also reminds you so you don't have more contacts than the item you have assigned can support. PLCs are handled uniquely through the system. PLC symbols are generated by entering information and choosing a part number. If we look at our interface for the PLC, it's a data entry page where we're able to add PLCs, this being a self-contained single PLC. We can also add racks, add modules, and with that it applies the available physical addresses and addresses for that PLC. We can also enable those to an input-output, which will allow us to put descriptions on to the properties of that particular output. So perhaps motor start. And when we add motor start, if we go back to, gotta go back a page here, and we look at IO1, we now see motor start assigned to that input output. This allows us to quickly create a PLC symbol without having to constantly modify the symbol, as the symbol is built based on what is entered in the information throughout the rack and the module inputs. Now, wire numbering. Wire numbering is often a tedious task if you're working with standard line CAD tools such as AutoCAD, or if you're working possibly with Visio, you'll need to go through and annotate each particular wire. We have the ability to step in and quickly number our wires. We can ask the system to number our wires. I'm going to say to number anything new that hasn't already been numbered, so if I have manually numbered something, it will automatically leave that alone and just update any additional numbers. You'll notice that took just a couple seconds, and I now have all of my wires numbered. The wiring numbering can be numbered by wire or by potential, and there's also some flexibility in the formulas for wire numbering. We're showing a few here where we show wire phase and wire number, starting with L1, 3, 4, 5 in a vertical fashion, working left to right. And we also have slightly different wiring down on a neutral, where we're just placing an N on it to show its potential as well, N8, N3. Here, we're numbering, if we step over to the control page, we're numbering by potential throughout the page. So we have a number 1 on all wires that match potential, and we change the number after we've changed the circuit function. One other document that is very easily, quickly generated from our 2D schematic is terminal block drawings. Again, an item that takes a fair amount of time to generate and has to be manually created using non-automated systems. If we select a terminal block and we right-click and say, Draw X1 Terminal Strip, I want to step over. We'll show you the documents right now. Let me close some of this up. The documents will be created under my Book 1 section, as that's where we're working. I'm going to step in, Draw X1 Terminal Strip. It's going to take just a couple of seconds, and it's generated 2 terminal strip drawings for me, or 2-page drawing of this terminal strip that'll show my cable cores, connections to my motor, connections to my terminal block. These are often required for certain standards and also very helpful for anybody making connections in the field. Other ability for reporting that we have as we're building our bill of material and other information automatically as we build the schematic, we have many reports available to us. If we step into our reports window, I have a table of contents that's available immediately. This is each of the pages in my document. We have a full list of out-of-the-box reports that are available. This system does run on SQL, so we have a great amount of flexibility to make customizations to new custom reports that we may desire. We'll show you a sampling here of some of the types that we have. I'm going to do a wire list for us, maybe a cabling list, a couple of different bills of material, our mark list. Let's do our terminal and our component. We'll take the full mark list off, and maybe our cabling. All right, and we'll say OK to these, and you'll notice that reports are immediately generated. So my wires are listed with a from, to, and a wire number. It's my entire wire list that was generated. Bills of material. Here's a bill of material by each mark number and the item. We can expand across and the manufacturer of that item. We can also sort by the part number and show our total quantity in our tags. That's a couple of the common bills of material. Our terminal strip tags and our component tags, very handy because these can be exported to Excel. So you can very easily and quickly generate a list of all tags and print labels to label the components within the control panel. That can be very important. And a list of our cables that are part of our project as well. Now, once we have all of these reports generated, we can quickly make drawings of these reports as well. I'm going to generate drawings for our section. Select those. and generate our drawings, and you'll see a set of drawings being created on the left here. Again, using a standard system, this can be a very time-consuming task. So we're getting a lot of documentation, in a sense, free of charge. Once that is finished, we'll show you the format, and these formats are adjustable. Here's an example of the wire list. It puts it on a border, puts it into a nice chart view for us. An example of the bill of materials broke out into location sections, and then the manufacturer and the part number cross-reference. Another bill of material example, at the very end. Back up one page. Here's one of the bill of materials that's broke out by manufacturer again. So again, very nice documentation generated very quickly by simply creating our schematic. Once we've reached this point, we have all of our information within our project, and we can very quickly put this into documents that can be shared with other groups. We have the e-drawings. For those of you that are used to the SOLIDWORKS tools, we can create an e-drawings packet of this information. We can export to DWG files if that's preferred. We can also make a PDF document. The PDF document is exceptionally nice because it makes a single PDF document, multi-page of each of the pages that I request. We have a list of the pages, so we can choose which pages we prefer not to have in the report if needed. Create a document of our PDF. There we go. And we'll go ahead and let it generate those documents for us. All right. Taking a look at our finished document now, I'll open that up. Here's a nice PDF of our entire drawing package with all of our bill of material reports, possibly a view of the 3D line diagrams. Here's our detailed schematic pages. And one unique neat thing about the detailed schematic pages is the same go-to functionality has been carried over as a hyperlink into the document where I can select on an origin or destination, click on it, and it will take me to the page that is on. So we have that same functionality in the PDF as well. And that'll end our presentation. So for the next couple of minutes, we'll take any questions. If you prefer to type in a question, go ahead and enter that in your window at the right side, and we'll answer those. Any questions we're unable to answer or that we don't finish before time is complete, we will respond in the near future via email.
Yeah, Cole?
Yes.
Yes, I've got a couple of questions here. I'll read the first one.
Okay.
Yes, they have existing DWG symbols from AutoCAD. Can they be used and imported?
Yes, if you're currently using AutoCAD and you have a DWG symbol, we have the ability to import that symbol as a DWG file and then add our attributes to that through our Symbols Manager. If we step into our Symbols Manager, we have the Import DWG Files icon available to us right there. If it happens to be a symbol coming from AutoCAD Electrical, we have the ability to cross-reference their attributes to ours and also maintain those and bring the symbol in directly with very little work needed to convert it.
Okay, this next question says, is a seat of SOLIDWORKS required?
For creating the 2D schematic portion, a seat of SOLIDWORKS is not required. The 2D schematic interface is a standalone tool that can be used as it was shown today.
Okay, that's the only two questions I've got right now.
Okay.
You must have covered it quite well. Well, I'd like to thank everybody again for participating in with a Alignex web series. What we do in the future is if you would like to see a certain topic, you can certainly let your account manager know, send remarks to us, and we'll gladly take that under consideration as a new topic. Again, thank you, and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.